SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, London Stansted, altimeter 2992. London Stansted, altimeter 2992. SJX Vision 1, Charlie,
clearance by air traffic control to pushback. We expect to take off in approximately 10 minutes and our cruising altitude will be around 30,000 feet. With good weather forecast all the way, we expect to land at our destination at the scheduled time. Our cabin crew will be looking after you, and we hope you have an enjoyable flight with this airline. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, looks like I spoke too soon and nearly a bit delayed departing the gate. It should only be a few minutes, however. Thank you.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, fly heading 220. Fly heading 220. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor. (737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie, London Stansted, altimeter 2992. London Stansted, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. (737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie, cleared IFR2, Salzburg Maxwell, as filed, maintain, flight level 300, squawk 4700. Cleared IFR2, Salzburg Maximum as filed. Maintain flight level 300. Squawk 4700, 737 to 800 BDJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Seven 737 to 800 BDJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie, runway 4, taxi via 11121, hold short of runway 4. Runway 4, taxi via 11121, hold short of runway 4, 737 to 800 BDJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie.
May we have your attention, please, for the following presentation about safety on board. Your hand luggage must be placed in the overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. It's forbidden to place hand luggage in front of the bulkhead seat or the emergency exits. For safety reasons, the use of any electronic devices is prohibited during taxiing, takeoff, and landing. Personal electronic equipment, such as telephones and wireless transmitting devices, may not be used at any time during the flight. Please fasten your seatbelt now as we're taking off. Because turbulence can occur unexpectedly, you are obliged to have your seatbelt fastened whenever you're seated, until the aircraft comes to a full stop after landing. Whenever the fasten seatbelt sign is on, the use of the lavatories is not permitted. For takeoff and landing, make sure that the back of your seat is in a fully upright position and that your tables are folded away. Secure infants with the infant's belt, which will be distributed by your flight attendant if needed. This is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is not permitted at any time on board. Smoking in the lavatories is dangerous and will activate a smoke alarm. If cabin pressure is lost, oxygen masks will be released automatically. Pull the mask towards your face and cover your nose and mouth. Then help children and other passengers. In case of impact on land or water, position yourself as shown on the screen. You may use either position. To evacuate the aircraft, follow the illuminated escape path markings. The emergency exits are identified by exit signs, located as shown on the screen and the safety on board card. Your life jacket is located under your seat or below the armrest. Pull the life jacket over your head and attach the strap. Do not inflate your life jacket until you leave the aircraft. Pull the strap until the life jacket is properly adjusted. If the life jacket does not inflate or needs more air, blow through the rubber tube. Infant life jackets will be distributed if required. In case of emergency on water, the evacuation slides will serve as rafts. The Safety on Board card shows the various procedures and the use and location of the safety equipment. Please study the card carefully. In an emergency, you must follow the orders given by the crew. Thank you for your attention.
Für weitere Informationen wenden Sie sich bitte an Ihr Kabinenpersonal. Im Notfall müssen Sie sich an die Anweisungen der Besatzung halten. Wir danken für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Pour de plus amples informations, veuillez vous adresser à votre personnel de cabine. En cas d'urgence, vous devez suivre les instructions de l'équipage. Nous vous remercions de votre attention. Per ulteriori informazioni, la preghiamo di contattare il personale di cabina. In caso di emergenza, è obbligatorio seguire le istruzioni dell'equipaggio. La ringraziamo per la sua attenzione.
Cabin crew, doors on automatic, cross-check and report, thank you. Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
Seven hundred 37-800. 6, November, runway 4, taxi via 1721, hold short of runway 4. Runway 4, taxi via 1721, hold short of runway 4, 737-800. 6, November. 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie, contact tower on 123.80. Contact tower on 123.80, 700 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Tower 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Seven 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. 4, line up and wait. 4, line up and wait. 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, runway 4, you're cleared to land. Runway 4, SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
Approaching 04.
Seven 737 to 800 BBJ2, Tango, Uniform, Charlie, fly heading 040, runway 4, you're cleared for takeoff. Fly heading 040, runway 4, 737 to 800 BBJ2,
On runway
Tango, Uniform, Charlie.
04.
Put a right plan, Gerald.
737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Contact center on 135.95.
Be able to begin that great service very soon.
Contact center on 135.95. 737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Center 737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. (737 to 800 BBJ2). Tango, Uniform, Charlie. London Stansted, altimeter 2992. London Stansted, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie.
One.
737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Squawk 4700. Squawk 4700. 737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Seven hundred 37 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Fly heading 110. Fly heading 110. 737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. (737 to 800 BBJ2. Tango, Uniform, Charlie. Resume on navigation. Negative 737 to 800. 6. November. 737 to 800. 6. November. London Stansted. Altimeter 2992. London Stansted. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. 6. November. 737 to 800. 6. November. Fly heading 310. Fly heading 310. 737 to 800. 6. November. 737 to 800. 6. November. Fly heading 220. Fly heading 220. 737 to 800. 6. November. 737 to 800. 6. November. Fly heading 200. Fly heading 200. 737 to 800. 6. November.
shot, and we'll be able to present it to him, and it'll give everyone a chance to be able to see him.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, Oddly N, Altimeter 2992. On the end, altimeter 2992. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
From until heaving, well, he'll have it coming.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor. Descend and maintain 15,000. Descend and maintain 15,000. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
And that's already run its course. And so, what is Europe for?
Is that, in a sense, her grace?
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor. Fly heading 140. Fly heading 140. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
Together, absent her, can it hold together?
And of course, her own party is such a coalition as well. It's this weird mixture of different factions from all over the place. So it's amazing to stay in Paris so long. The extraordinary thing about Angela Merkel, I think, is how little we know about her even now. At the end of this time,
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor. Fly heading 140.
country in Europe.
Fly heading 140. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
Sudden lurches, whether it's to assassinate her patron, Helmut Kohl, whether it's to turn turtle suddenly on the nuclear issue, whether it's against Russia, and famously the migration issue. My own hunch, I suspect, is that the things we see now and cast doubt over her, like migration, history will hail her rather more for that. I think she took a remarkable moral stand and deserves credit for it. And ultimately, that was good for Germany.
And even in Germany, for all the rise of the AfD, Autonomous Version, based on that, she still seems a remarkably popular.
But also, I think she'll be seen as someone who hasn't really tackled the intrinsic problems of Germany, with this obsession on keeping the sound economy and not investing in the future.
And
I think she may have stored up a lot
the
of
current
problems
crisis in the EU over Italy's budget, that apparently irreconcilable tension between the northern European countries and their instinct to save, and the needs of the southern European countries to try and get to some kind of common standard.
Interestingly, on the point of migration, in the latest election in the state of Hesse, where
This
she
was
lost
last
the seat, it was last Sunday, migration hardly played a part. It wasn't discussed because somehow one of the Germans more about it and huffed about this. 1 million people suddenly arriving overnight. They will find a way, the society as a whole will find a way to absorb what's good about the migrants and check out the ones that are bad. There are scandals and murders and stuff like that which create irritation, but by and large they are managing.
Germany is remarkably good at this and always has been because of all the Gastarbeiters, who came for so many years. And I don't think her impulse, the guest workers who came, from Southern Europe to kickstart the German economy. But I don't think her motives were entirely altruistic. She sees that immigration can be extremely good.
Well, although the guest workers from Italy came from a compatible culture, as it were, of a European background, and somehow they were able. Well, Turkey not so, but there was this work.
Resume mode navigation 737 to 800 DBJ2 Tango Uniform Charlie.
Work ethic there. And also the interesting thing is her most likely successor, if it is Mr. Merz, then he's someone who's taken a very hard line on integration, and that's probably why he's come back into politics from his lobbying.
Well, yes, he could bring about a new consensus on that very issue.
Well, let's turn to a country where consensus has been somewhat absent in recent years, Brazil. Jair Bolsonaro is a 7-term member of Brazil's Congress, yet in last Sunday's runoff stage of the presidential election, he won convincingly as an outsider, able to clean out the stench of corruption which seems to permeate every crevice of Brazil's politics. The only other really popular politician, the left of centre former president known as Lula, couldn't run because he's languishing in jail. Another one of those caught up in what was called prosaically the car wash scandal. Mr. Bolsonaro praises the military dictatorship which used to run the country, says he'll put business needs ahead of climate change, and will give police and army free rein to curb violent crime, which last year killed almost 64,000 people, some of them during the election campaign. The figures are staggering, even allowing for the fact that this is a large country. A shocking level of endemic violence. Perhaps not so surprising.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, Clacton, Altimeter 2992.
So many other
Clacton, Altimeter 2992. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
What it shows us is, don't predict anything in politics, because for most of his career, this guy's
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, descend and maintain 14,000.
in the world.
Descend and maintain 1-4000 SJX Vision 1 Charlie Victor.
And offering this tough man solution, sort of Trump on steroids.
SJX Vision 1 Charlie Victor. Fly heading 190. Fly heading 190. SJX Vision 1 Charlie Victor.
On all three issues. And of course, one of the things he's doing is talking about giving the police more power and basically sort of like in the Philippines accepting police murder. But the trouble is, of course, the police are very heavily involved. They're very linked. If you in a lot of these areas in the favelas, they're very linked to the drug traffic. They're very linked. There's a strain of racism going on in the types of attacks that they're doing, and it doesn't, to me, certainly
even his remarks about black Brazilians.
Absolutely.
SJX Vision 1 Charlie Victor. Fly heading 200.
But ultimately, it may be
Fly heading 200. SJX Vision 1 Charlie Victor.
I think the shock's ahead for Brazil because of what he's planning to do on certain issues in terms of privatisation and pensions. But it does mean that ultimately, a bit like Trump, who we'll talk about, it may be the economy that really sways it because the crime situation, I doubt, is going to improve and may actually flare up worse.
Jeff, we've seen this in Latin America before, haven't we? Circumstances where authoritarian governments have thought it's possible to kind of ride to two things simultaneously. Liberal on economics, hardline on issues like crime. What's the kind of track record?
Well, do you consider hard on crime, including disappearing people, throwing them out of airplanes, and repressing public conversation? I mean, we're talking about street crime here. He's not talking about a more general crackdown, but I don't see how you shoot your way to a social peace in Brazil, especially because the gangs are mostly run by retired policemen, and the whole thing is all embedded.
They have brought the army in, haven't they, in Rio State? But then you look at the numbers of crime is apparently going down, some of the crimes, but then violence has gone up. And it killed about 900 people in the space of 6 months, 45% up on the same period the previous year, which is quite shocking.
And the places where crime is getting better, street crime is getting better, it turns out to be where they're doing community policing and kind of all the soft stuff, not the hard stuff. And there are other examples in the Philippines and other countries in Latin America and elsewhere where we're trying to great money. We have a lot of idea, but then what's the next act? The economy really has been as much of a problem as the crime and making people disaffected with the Lula regime and his successors. So there is the chance, but I have to be dubious because this man is not a policy expert. He's never really cared much about the fine points of governing, and I don't think he's got much of a solution.
Are you worried by his elevation?
I'm immensely worried by his elevation, and the thing that worries me the most, not just for Brazil but for the whole world, is his environmental, to call them environmental policies is to kind of put it completely backwards. He has said he'll open up the Amazon forest to further exploitation, the indigenous areas to mining and farming. He is planning to merge the Agriculture and Environment Ministries, which is exactly, setting a fox to guard the chickens. And, we're in a week where we've had two serious, reputable scientific reports, one saying we have maybe 12 years to avert climate catastrophe, and another saying that we may be the first species to engineer our own extinction because of the drop in biodiversity. And the Amazon forest is the greatest lung of the planet. Deforestation and logging has decreased under Lula. It's been slightly going up again, and now we may see a further devastation of this forest, which is essential for the planet.
The good news, though, surely, Thomas, is that Brazil is a very, very vibrant democracy. It's got a Congress that's impeached two presidents who stepped out of line. It's got courts that were able to bring a former president to trial and to conviction. It's got a media that, frankly, is very disrespectful of all politicians.
Let's hope it continues like that. But with him in power, you never know whether he has plans up his sleeve to curtail freedom of the media, curtail freedom of open debate, and see what happens to his detractors in future. And
he's very clever in his use of social media.
Yes, of course. And the media
is bypasses a lot of the traditional media.
Sure. So I'll suspend my judgment about what happens to democracy in Brazil until I see how he is actually putting all his plans into action. That you list, frightening list of intentions, but sometimes not everything which is intended, which gets into power, is actually going to be put in place. But it looks a bit dubious, to use your word, about the future of democracy as well.
Also on the media, of course, he has done what Trump's doing, talking about fake news. There's been a lot of attacks on journalists. I saw a report of one woman journalist had a knife held to her and had her neck cut. There's been attacks on journalists. You know, this is a very willful thing. They're talking about using government advertising to help supporters and
We shouldn't
everything.
forget, of course, that he himself was stabbed during the campaign. I mean, it'd been a kind of, in lots of ways, very brutal campaign. There were several candidates who were murdered during the course of it. In some ways, though, he the consequence of the failure of the people who were there before. In a sense, you know, he is because of the failure of the Workers' Party.
Of course, I mean, it is just like we're seeing in so many other countries where there's very deep, profound problems in society, where it's not just divisions and it's unsolved problems of crime or inequality or economic failure or police corruption or whatever. And he is the guy who's come through this, just like, you know, in so many other countries we're seeing the same. The fearsome thing is see what's going to happen now when you've got another major economy in the hands of someone pushing very extreme policies.
Okay, well, from an election over to one that's almost upon us. In the United States, the midterms take place on Tuesday. Only 1/3 of the Senate is up, but every part of the country is holding elections for their local congressman or congresswoman, their member of the House of Representatives. Although these are elections for the legislature by tradition...
737 to 800. 6, November. Fly heading 060.
Bush, it's been midterms.
Fly heading 060. 737 to 800. 6, November.
Yet a Democrat contact of mine emailed a few days ago, steeped in the midterm elections, so horrible. Are Democrats that pessimistic, Jeff and Joe?
I think they're being careful because optimism is dangerous. And we've seen, of course, Hillary Clinton certainly thought she was going to be president, so did everybody else, basically, except for Donald Trump and, you know, 4 other people. And, you know, you just don't know. The polls are good. Basically, for the Democrats, they've been very consistent that there's a substantial lead in the House, so they'll probably take the House back. They're not likely to take the Senate back because there are very few seats that are really in play or possible, and there are many more Republican seats than Democratic ones. Early signs are that voting is going to be strong, much more participation. There's been a lot of early voting, which is generally in favor of...
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, fly heading 200. Descend and maintain 1000. Fly heading 200. Descend and maintain 1000. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
And we have this strange thing about the giant caravan of strangers that we need to now deploy the army to the border. Of course, you're not allowed to do any arresting, actually, it's against the law. But they're going to stop these people who include apparently Middle Easterners and people with smallpox. There hasn't been smallpox for 45 years.
Wearing new sneakers bought for them by George Soros.
George Soros, the cosmopolitans are doing all this. It's unbelievable, actually, that he gets away with it. And only last week we had shooting in a synagogue, and we had the pipe bombs who all went to his opponents and his commentators, and even he hinted that it was a Democratic operation to have said it, but it turns out to be a guy living in a van plastered with Trump stickers and Hillary in the bullseye stickers. And he's managed to rile up the base. He's so good at that. It's dangerous for the country and the future and all that sort of thing, but that's the card he plays, and he does it really well. Democrats have to try to do this thing, trying to be nice, and also win votes.
Ian, you've been on the campaign trail over the last few weeks. I mean, are Democrats kind of fighting fire with fire? Are they come to terms with this new political reality?
I think we're seeing all different things in different places. I think the truth is when you get outside of Washington, the issues that count are the same old issues of healthcare, of economics, of jobs and such like. And the economy is doing well, jobs are at high, and a lot of people are feeling the impact of the tax cuts. And so they may love or hate the president, but economically a lot of them are doing quite well.
So with your pocketbook,
yeah, I found a lot of people who are quite tolerant of him, even if they didn't like him. But the other, I mean, clearly there are dynamics you can see. You can see the ethnic minority vote is very hostile to him. I was very struck by the suburban women who seemed, even those who supported Trump, seemed to be very unhappy with him. And equally, I came across interesting in West Virginia. I came across a really interesting guy, Richard Deja, who's fighting a sort of almost like a Trump of the left, and he voted for Trump in 2016. He's hugely cut the Republican lead there. He campaigns in military uniform. He's got the names of his dead buddies from Afghanistan and Iraq tattooed on his body. but equally he speaks the language of unions and of the left and everything, and it's really interesting the way he's trying to come up with a different dynamic, which is getting a lot of attention away from the stuff we hear in perhaps California or New York or Boston or
Jeff,
whatever.
do you think that Trump is changing the Democrat Party?
Well, I think it's impossible for this giant gravitational force not to have some effect. But they're looking to find their way, of course. They don't have an obvious presidential candidate. There is this division between the progressives and the moderates. There are candidates running both ways. There's very interesting candidates trying to take quite left-wing positions, say the governor's races in Georgia and Florida, which are quite left-wing, black candidates. So there's trying to feel a way to a new, maybe not Bill Clinton, Southern moderate centrism, which has been the dominant feel of the Democratic Party for 20 years, but who knows? And I think Trump and what he's done to the Republicans has been so profound that the Democrats have to figure out something new.
I think, the two really important things in these midterms are, one, for the Democrats to take back the House so that there can be some break, at least on Trump's insanity. And the other is to see what happens with these insurgent candidates that you talk about, like Stacey Abrams, the governor of Georgia, and also people running for the House. So Johanna Hayes from Connecticut, black working class woman, would be the first such person in the House. And this is partly the aftermath of the Bernie Sanders.
Have done is cut corporation tax down to 12.5%, but these companies don't even pay 12.5%. Many of them, we've discovered, pay nothing at all. And the bigger they are, the less they seem to pay. So where we have companies who, do pay corporation tax, we've then got the likes of Apple, Google, Facebook, who are using Ireland to pretend that they generate revenues in Ireland and to avoid tax. And the people who pay the price for that are the people all around the world, in some of the poorest countries who are being deprived of the benefit of that taxation.
I would disagree with you that they do not pay any taxes. In fact, I came across the statistic just the other day that they pay over 80% of all Irish corporate taxes, and they directly employ 25% of the Irish labor force. Can your country afford to lose them? Because I would suppose that it would come with major detriments to the very same people that you
Well, let
represent.
me just put it in context.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, fly heading 200, descend and maintain 7,000.
Supermarket giants, etc.
Fly heading 200, descend and maintain 7,000. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
So we know and we've discovered, and we discovered it through British and American parliamentary committees, not through Ireland. The likes of Apple is paying virtually none. The average that's being worked out by economists is anything from 3 to 8% is what they're paying. They rarely pay 12.5%. And the problem we saw recently where Apple had to pay back 13.5 billion to the country. And our government didn't want to take it because they didn't want to send a message to
a very interesting case I wanted to ask you about, because as you just mentioned, in 2016 the European Commission for competition concluded that Apple received illegal state aid from the Irish government, that it now owns the government somewhere in the range of 13 billion euros plus interest in unpaid back taxes, and yet the Irish government is very strongly resisting that, presumably because it wants to keep their business. Where do you find yourself in that dispute? Are you more strongly with the European Commission on that?
Well, the European Commission did that for a reason. There's obviously competition between different capitalist countries, and they don't like the fact that Ireland has this, knockdown rate which jeopardises other countries in Europe. So they're making a stand for that reason. But I think the key point is this, that they've now paid back the 13.5 billion that's sitting in the account. We have a housing crisis in Ireland. They are not building public housing, social housing, or affordable housing. That money could be used to solve our housing crisis, but we have a government that's saying no because they don't want to send a message that Ireland isn't open for business.
But I've also seen some analysts suggest that the cost of US multinationals leaving Ireland...
737 to 800, 6, November, fly heading 160.
You can criticize the government...
Fly heading 160, 737 to 800, 6, November.
Believe that the role of those multinational companies are so huge that your country simply wouldn't afford to change that.
Yes, and I represent a constituency where there are a lot of multinationals and in huge industrial parks and so on. I mean, any jobs that we have.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, Oristan, Altimeter 2992.
Tax was raised to the level of
Oristan, Altimeter 2992. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
So, because they're in Ireland for a reason, English speaking. Many other reasons, you know, proximity to the EU.
737 to 800. 6 November. Fly heading 240.
Is it a safe thing?
Fly heading 240. 737 to 800. 6 November.
We're close to Brexit now, where the British may leave the EU and cut their corporation tax lower than ours. Trump in America is talking about cutting corporation tax as well. So Ireland's policy isn't sustainable.
Well, Madam Coppinger, we have to leave it there. I really appreciate you coming over and sharing some of your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Encourage our viewers to keep this conversation going on our social media pages and hope to see you again, same place, same time, here on Worlds Apart.
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Fly heading 110. Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992. Fly heading 110. Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
Stuck on your phone. I did, till I found out I could print them for free. Now I free print my fridge, I free print the pool, I free print brilliant memories. More than 500 free prints a year for free. You just pay delivery. Download the Free Prints app for iPhone or Android for free at freeprints.com. And now you can free print a photo book or photo tile every month for free. It's a photo revolution. Download from the App Store or Google Play now.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. This is Hanoi, the hustling and bustling and moving, it's constantly in motion, where every street of this ancient capital tells a story.
It's the most beautiful streets in Hanoi.
We explore this historic city from a new perspective.
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
These creatives get hands-on to realize their dreams and make a statement.
Having a vision and then seeing it tangible of it, obviously when people actually enjoy it, is amazing.
African Voices, tonight on CNN, in association with Glow.
I'm Amanda Davis in Monaco, and this is CNN. US President Donald Trump rallies supporters in the final days before what some experts say will be one of the most polarized elections in American history. Thus, thousands of Iranians take to the streets to protest President Trump's renewed sanctions on Iran. And later, simulated battles to tackle cyber hacking. One city is testing fake scenarios of spreading misinformation that could become real. Hello and welcome to our viewers around the world. I'm Bianca Pablo in London, and this is CNN Newsroom. The 2018 US midterm election campaigns are down to the wire.
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992.
For their respective candidates.
Descend and maintain 9,000. Oristan, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
President Trump has no fewer than 5 events scheduled. and Election Day. Now, historically, turnout is low for midterms.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 070.
7 million Americans have gone to the polls.
Fly heading 070. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
Could not be more stark.
This is one of the most important elections of our entire lives. This election will decide whether we build on the extraordinary prosperity that we've achieved, or whether we let the radical Democrats take control of Congress and take a giant wrecking ball to our economy and to the future of our nation.
They're trying to convince us that honesty is relative, depending on where you stand. Truth is truth. Truth is truth. Honesty is honesty.
President Trump has two campaign events on Sunday, one in Georgia in the afternoon and another later in Tennessee. CNN's Boris Sanchez is traveling with the president and has this report from a campaign stop Saturday in Florida.
President Trump kicked off his rally in Pensacola, Florida on Saturday on a bit of a different note, joking about coverage he had watched on television.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992.
So the president
Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
He talked about rebuilding those parts of Florida that were hard hit by the hurricane, saying that the entire country was with those people hurt by the hurricane. The president then went after Democrats, suggesting that Democrats would take a wrecking ball in the booming economy and turn Florida into Venezuela. Listen to this.
They'll impose socialism on the state of Florida. Welcome to Venezuela. And they'll erase America's borders. We have to have a border. If we're going to have a great country, we have to have a great, strong, powerful border.
Of course, the president did go back to the issue of immigration, yet again calling members of a caravan moving through Central America toward the United States invaders, though there are indications that most of the caravan is made up of women and children seeking refuge from political and economic crises in Central American countries. The president was joined on stage by Representative Ron DeSantis, who's running for governor here in Florida, and by the current governor, Rick Scott, who's running for
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
traveling with the president at Pensacola, Florida.
U.S. Senate race in Missouri is one of the
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Resume on navigation.
is trying to fend off a Republican
Resume on navigation. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
Senate. It's so important that the U.S. president jetted to Missouri on Thursday for a rally to support Hawley. And Mr. Trump will be back on Monday. Dana Bash has more.
Democrat Claire McCaskill rolling deep in rural conservative Missouri in search of every possible vote to send her back to the Senate.
I mean, we're realists about this. It's not that anybody believes I'm going to be able to win Jasper County. But you know what we can do? We can win a few more votes. So I got news for you. It's close.
In many ways, it's a political miracle this two-term Senate Democrat even represents this red state President Trump won by nearly 20 points. She first won in 2006, a Democratic wave year. And again in 2012 after GOP opponent Todd Akin talked of legitimate rape.
Healthcare is on the ballot.
Like many Democrats in tough races, she tries to stay focused on healthcare and preserving Obamacare's protections for pre-existing conditions. Her GOP opponent, Josh Hawley, says he supports them too, but he's part of a lawsuit that gets
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 9,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
2 years ago. The blunt McCaskill regularly launches one-liners at her 38-year-old Ivy League-educated challenger.
As Ronald Reagan said, I'm going to try not to hold his youth and inexperience against him. He may be a Yale-educated lawyer, but I'm a Mizzou-educated lawyer, and I can keep up.
She's running on her experience, yet running from the left wing of her own party.
It may irritate some of you in this room that I am proud that I'm a moderate. There may be people in this room that think I am not liberal enough to carry the banner of this party.
You have a radio ad out saying that you're not one of those crazy Democrats.
And Claire's not one of those crazy Democrats. She works right in the middle and finds compromise.
What does that mean?
Well, the crazy Democrats are the people who are getting in the face of elected officials in restaurants and screaming at them. The crazy Democrats is whoever put a swastika on one of Josh Hawley's signs in rural Missouri. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, the extreme stuff.
Stop Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Claire McCaskill, and the radical left.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 060. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992.
That was a big deal.
Fly heading 060. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
By the smear campaign.
She did say how she would vote before the hearing.
You're right. She was
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992.
I would be a big hypocrite.
Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
The impression he's giving Missourians that somehow the Democrats are in favor of our border being overrun. I am not. I support the president 100%, doing what he needs.
Yes. Why? Enormous.
I'm so glad to feel the way.
He's coming off us.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
It's not as bad as it looks. We just borrowed the Mac. Sort of got rather happy about it and ran off in high spirits. Who are you? That's not him. It didn't sound like him, did it? It doesn't even look like him. It isn't him. It's him! I've got to get his torch. Shine it right in the face. His face, dummy! It's a kid! Oh, check the door. All clear? Right. Right, listen to me. Just tell us how to get out of here. Keep quiet and you won't get hurt. Why did you get out the way you came? Don't try to be smart with me, you little creep. If you want to play it smart, I'll introduce you to Fern. He eats anything. I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just trying to help. You know, don't you? I don't know anything.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 7,000. OS10. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain. 7,000. OSM. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
Wait for me to give the order. Right. Ready. One. Start on one. Whoever heard of anybody starting anything on one? What is it then? 2 or 3? 3!
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 050. Fly heading 050. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 060. Vectors for the visual. Runway 7. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. Fly heading 060. Vectors for the visual. Runway 7. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
Really worked it. Shut up. Now are we all here? What? Oh, are you here? Yeah, he's here, Sperming. Sperming, will you stop eating? That's too dangerous to stay.
SJX Vision 1. Charlie. Victor. Leo Lesquid. Altimeter 2992. Leo Lesquid. Altimeter 2992. SJX Vision 1. Charlie. Victor. $737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Prevent. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. SJX Vision 1. Charlie. Victor. Fly heading 020. Fly heading 020. SJX Vision 1. Charlie. Victor.
1796, Battle of Castiglione. See? They sure know it's somebody's bedroom. Do you want to be leader of this gang? Oh, we're pretty co-leader. Right. So shut up, do as I say. Now, gotta get into the city. The guards and the roads are too dangerous. I've got an idea. We can use the river. Come on.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter. 2992. Descend and maintain. 5,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter. 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 340. Descend and maintain 2,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. Fly heading 340. Descend and maintain 2,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike.
Every single penny he's got. That's Napoleon. He's rich.
Monsieur Commander, I think that the mayor of Castillo and his council would like very much to surrender now, please.
Look at the little fellow.
With this city, the whole area of Western Lombardy at our feet.
Oh, okay.
I never should have married you.
SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor, fly heading 020.
Yeah, been here 8 hours.
Fly heading 020. SJX Vision 1, Charlie, Victor.
94. What's hiding on the other typing at the bottom of a bloody well?
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Fly heading 110. Descend and maintain 7,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. Fly heading 110. Descend and maintain 7,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. Descend and maintain 7,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 7,000. Wimbledon. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform. Mike. 737 to 800. 6, November, flight heading 090. Flight heading 090. 737 to 800. 6, November. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike, flight heading 160. Flight heading 160. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
Not for sure. And you stick with these boys, you have a great future. You know, you are the best thing to happen to me since this all come back.
737 to 800. 6, November, flight heading 040. Flight heading 040. 737 to 800. 6, November.
Business. You want the space, do you hear? You, Lucien, the rest of you. Some misery. Sir, no! I'm going to have some new generals for a bit. Alexander the Great, 5 feet exactly. Isn't that incredible? Alexander the Great, whose empire stretched from
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
not a big man at all. Louis XIV, 5'2". Charlemagne.
Police with fire EMS. They're former and current law enforcement, including ex-Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis, who was in charge during the marathon bombing. And what the hackers are throwing at him today, he's never seen before.
To be quite honest with you, I've never heard of this happening, so I don't know what the solution to it is.
This simulation, hosted by security company Cybereason, is designed to show the wide-ranging damage hackers can do. Not to the more obvious targets like voting machines and election infrastructure, but to an entire city on election day.
You take the traffic system and shut down the traffic systems and 2, 3, 5, and 9.
Yeah, just turn all lights off.
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992.
Next door, the blue team struggles.
Descend and maintain. 7,000. Wimbledon, altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
Bomb threats, evacuations, taking over social and local media to spread false information, causing unrest.
737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike. Flight heading 180. Flight heading 180. 737 to 800. Tango, uniform, Mike.
Done them in places like France, the Middle East, and Washington, D.C. After the simulation, the hackers claimed victory. The blue team admitting that in the real world, it's a relentless game of catch-up. The stuff that the hackers were throwing at you actually isn't all that complicated to do.
No, it isn't. It's very low budget, and it's very effective. That can influence public opinion or public perception extremely effectively.
The potential to threaten not just voter turnout, but shape confidence in the democratic process as a whole.
Well, I think they're woefully underprepared. And in those scenarios, I believe that local government lacks the funding or the ability to attract the talent or the resources to build the defenses necessary to defend the public against those types of attacks. That is a significant problem.
Alex Marquardt, CNN, Boston.
One of the biggest talking points in the run-up to the midterms has, of course, been the migrant caravan.
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, fly heading 150, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Grimbergen, altimeter 2992.
In its final program before election.
Fly heading 150, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Grimbergen, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike.
Detroit Pistons, Thanos, and several Babadoos.
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike.
God, and those are humans?
Basically, yeah.
Thank you for watching CNN Newsroom. I'm Bianca Noblo in London. Iconic India is next, but first, I'll be back with a check of the headlines.
There are all kinds of smiles. The I am blessed smile. The caught you smile. The not a care in the world smile. And the wish I were a child smile. Kirloska, behind a million smiles, silently and reliably. Welcome to Emirates, Mr. Jones. Just sit back, relax, and let us entertain you. With over 3,500 channels of entertainment, including the latest movies and box sets from around the world. We even have
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike.
98 with free delivery. Call now or find out more at gtech.co.uk.
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, fly heading 170, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Fly heading 170, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike.
brand new, the killing season. Starts Tuesday at 10 on Really.
Attention, Alexander Armstrong here with some marching orders. To celebrate its 50-year anniversary, join me for an expedition to discover the story behind Dad's Army.
And didn't have health and safety in there to stay.
Saluting Dad's Army.
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, fly heading 210, descend and maintain 3,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Fly heading 210, descend and maintain 3,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike.
You may as well combine business with pleasure. Or so it seemed for the insatiable Riefenstahl.
737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, fly heading 180, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Fly heading 180, vectors for the visual, runway 25, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992, 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike. 737 to 800, Tango, uniform, Mike, descend and maintain 6,000, Brussels Airport, altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 6,000. Brussels Airport. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform Mike.
1500-meter final under the lights. In her famous film, Olympia, over 7 minutes are devoted to her handsome lover, compared to less than 3 to Owens, the real hero of the games. Even though the friendly handshake between Glenn and his German rival at the end of the fake final was another pretext to get a befitting message across. By the closing ceremony on August 16, Riefenstahl and those she served had managed to draw the 1936 Olympic Games into their own world.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform Mike. Fly heading 200. Vectors for the visual. Runway 25. Descend and maintain 6,000. Brussels Airport. Altimeter 2992. Fly heading 200. Vectors for the visual. Runway 25. Descend and maintain 6,000. Brussels Airport. Altimeter 2992. 737 to 800. Tango. Uniform Mike.
Good, Sergeant. Take 2 privates.
737 to 800. Tango. Uniform Mike. Descend and maintain 6,000. Brussels Airport. Altimeter 2992. Descend and maintain 6,000. Brussels Airport. Altimeter 299.